My name is Margaret Torres. I'm 62 years old, and until July 15th, 2024, I believed family was sacred.
Before we continue, comment where you're watching from and subscribe to the channel. We'd love to see how far our stories are reaching.
The picnic was Ashley's idea. She called on Thursday with that sweet voice I hadn't yet learned to distrust. "Mom, how about a family day at Fairmount Park? It's been so long since we all got together." I should have been suspicious. Ashley never called me Mom, unless she wanted something, but I was too tired to think straight. 3 shifts as a nurse for 30 years leave marks no retirement can erase. My right shoulder aches when it's going to rain. My left hand trembles when I hold heavy things. I arrived at the park at 11 on Saturday morning. The smell of grilled meat already filled the air, mixed with wet grass and cheap sunscreen. Kevin, my only biological son, was standing by the barbecue with that distant smile I'd been seeing more and more lately. 37 years old, and he still couldn't look me in the eye when something was wrong. Clara arrived 10 minutes after me. My adopted daughter, 34, wearing her paramedic uniform because she'd just finished a night shift. Her eyes were red from exhaustion, but she hugged me tight like she always did. "Mom, you didn't have to come if you're tired," she whispered in my ear. "I wanted to see my kids," I lied. Truth was, I'd been feeling invisible for months. Kevin barely called anymore. Ashley only texted when she needed something. This picnic felt like a last chance to pretend we were still a family. Ashley emerged from the parking lot wearing a white sundress that probably cost more than my monthly electric bill. Her sunglasses were designer. Her smile was perfect. Too perfect. "Margaret, you look wonderful." She hugged me with those cold arms that never quite closed all the way. "Clara, sweetie, you must be exhausted. Why don't you sit by the river? The sound of water is so relaxing." I remember thinking it was strange. Ashley hated Clara. She'd made that clear for 16 years, ever since she married Kevin. She called Clara the charity case when she thought I couldn't hear. Once, at Christmas 2022, she'd accidentally broken the only framed photo I had of baby Clara in my arms at the hospital the day I adopted her. But Clara was too tired to notice the trap. She walked toward the riverbank, carrying her backpack, the navy blue one with the torn strap that she refused to replace because I'd given it to her for nursing school graduation in 2010. That's when everything happened fast. Ashley followed Clara to the river's edge. Kevin stayed at the grill, frozen. I was pulling paper plates from a bag when I heard the splash. Not a playful splash, a desperate one. I turned just in time to see Clara's arms flailing in the muddy water of the Santa Ana River. Her backpack was dragging her down, and Ashley was standing on the bank laughing. Not a nervous laugh, a cruel one. "Oops," Ashley said, loud enough for everyone to hear. She slipped. But I saw it. I saw Ashley's hands on Clara's back. I saw the push. Kevin dropped the spatula. He started walking toward the river, but slowly, like he was thinking about whether he should help or not. I ran. 62 years old, arthritis in my knees, rotator cuff injury from lifting patients for 3 decades. I ran into that river like I was 20 again. The water was colder than I expected, muddy. It filled my shoes, soaked my jeans, made every step feel like walking through concrete. Clara was 10 feet from the bank, sinking. The backpack was full of something heavy. "Mom!" she screamed, choking on river water. I grabbed her arm, pulled with everything I had. My shoulder made a sound like tearing fabric. Pain shot through my chest, but I didn't let go. I dragged her to the shallow part. She was coughing, spitting brown water, crying. I held her against my chest, both of us shaking. Behind us, Ashley was recording on her phone. "Oh my God, that was so scary," she said into the camera, her voice dripping with fake concern. "Poor Clara just slipped. Good thing Margaret was here to save her." Kevin finally reached us. He didn't help. He just stood there, dripping, looking at his wife like he was waiting for instructions. "You pushed her," I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded like something breaking. Ashley lowered her phone. Her smile disappeared. "Excuse me? I saw you. You pushed Clara into the river. Margaret, you're confused. Clara slipped. Maybe you should see a doctor. Memory issues at your age." "I'm not confused." Ashley glanced at Kevin. He looked away. Kevin, I said. Tell her you saw it too. My son, the boy I'd worked triple shifts to put through engineering school, the man I'd given $68,000 to over 4 years so he could graduate debt-free, looked at me with dead eyes. Mom, I was at the grill. I didn't see anything. That's when I knew. This wasn't an accident. This was planned. Clara and I left the park without saying goodbye. I drove her home in silence, both of us soaked, both of us shaking. She fell asleep in my guest room within minutes. I sat alone in my kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd made Kevin's breakfast for 18 years, where I'd taught Clara how to make my grandmother's flan, where I'd calculated budgets on napkins trying to figure out how to pay for 2 college tuitions on a nurse's salary. The clock on the wall ticked. It was a wedding gift from my late husband, 40 years old, older than Kevin. Tick, tick, tick. Clara's backpack was hanging on my chair, still dripping. I should have put it in the dryer. Instead, I opened it. Inside were Clara's work clothes, a water bottle, her wallet, and underneath, wrapped in a plastic bag, documents. My hands shook as I pulled them out. The first one was a will. My will. Except it wasn't. The signature looked like mine, but the date was wrong. March 2024. I'd never signed a new will in March. According to this document, I was leaving everything to Kevin. The house at 3247 Maple Drive, worth $480,000. My savings, $40,000. My life insurance, $250,000. Clara's name didn't appear once. The second document was worse. Photos. Printed photos of Clara as a baby, stapled to a photocopy of her adoption certificate. Someone had highlighted the word adopted in yellow. There was a handwritten note in the margin. Not blood, no right to inheritance. The handwriting was Ashley's. I sat there for an hour, staring at those papers, feeling my entire world collapse into something small and cold and true. My son's wife had tried to drown my daughter, not to kill her. No, that would be too obvious. But to destroy the backpack. To destroy the evidence I was holding in my trembling hands. Evidence of what? Fraud. Conspiracy. A plan to steal my house, my money, my life's work, and cut Clara out completely. I picked up my phone. My fingers were still shaking, but I managed to dial. Ray answered on the second ring. My older brother, 65, retired cop, the only person in my family I'd ever truly trusted. Maggie? It's 11 at night. You okay? I looked at the papers spread across my kitchen table, at the forged signature, at the highlighted word, adopted, at my life reduced to assets to be divided. Ray, I said, do what we planned 10 years ago. There was a long silence. Then I heard him exhale slowly. You sure? I'm sure. It's going to get ugly. It already is. Okay, sis. I'll make the calls tomorrow morning. I hung up. Outside, rain started falling. My shoulder was throbbing. The clock kept ticking. I thought about Kevin as a little boy, 3 years old, crying in my arms the night his baby sister died during childbirth. I thought about how I'd promised him he'd never be alone, how I'd adopted Clara, his biological sister's daughter, so he'd have family. I thought about how I'd sold my wedding ring in 1993 to pay for his emergency appendectomy, how I'd worked 70-hour weeks so he could go to college, how I'd believed stupidly that sacrifice equaled love. The documents were still wet. Ink was bleeding on some pages, but I could read enough. Tomorrow, Ray would reopen the file he'd closed in 2015. The file on Kevin's money laundering operation with his business partners. The file I'd begged him to archive because I couldn't stand the thought of my son going to prison. Tomorrow, Kevin would learn what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. Tomorrow, the water would rise. But tonight, I sat alone in my kitchen, listening to rain and clock ticks, and the sound of my own heart breaking in a language I was finally learning to speak. The language of goodbye. Ray showed up at 7 in the morning with 2 boxes of files and a face I hadn't seen in 10 years. The cop face. Cold. Methodical. Coffee? I asked. Already had 3. Let's work. We spread the documents across my dining table. The forged will. The adoption certificate with Ashley's handwriting. The photos from Clara's backpack. Ray pulled out his own folder. thicker than mine, held together with rubber bands that looked older than Kevin. "This is everything from 2015, he said. "Kevin's real estate deals with Marcus Lowe and two other partners. They were flipping houses that didn't exist. Fake titles, fake inspections, real buyers. Made $340,000 before I caught wind of it." My stomach turned. "How much did Kevin make?" "About $87,000. He stopped when I started asking questions. That's when you begged me to drop it." I remembered that conversation. Kevin had been 28, newly married, panicking. He'd cried in my living room, swearing it was a mistake, that he'd been desperate, that he'd never do it again. I'd believed him because I was his mother, because that's what mothers do. "Who's Marcus Lowe?" I asked. Ray tapped one of the documents from Clara's backpack. "The lawyer who notarized your fake will. Same guy from 2015. He never stopped working with Kevin." The room tilted slightly. I gripped the table. "There's more," Ray said. He pulled out a bank statement with my name on it. Joint account with Kevin. The emergency fund I'd set up in case he ever needed help. Balance, 127 O's. "It had $12,000 last month," I whispered. "Kevin emptied it on June 3rd. Cash withdrawal." I stared at that number. $127. Kevin had taken almost $12,000 from our joint account and left me enough for maybe 2 weeks of groceries. "Maggie, you need to close that account today, and we need to move fast. If Ashley's planning what I think she's planning..." The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Kevin's car in my driveway. Ashley was with him, and behind them, a black sedan I didn't recognize. "Don't answer," Ray said. The doorbell rang again. Then Kevin's voice. "Mom, I know you're home. We need to talk." I opened the door. Kevin looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, wrinkled shirt, stubble. Ashley looked perfect. Hair in a tight bun, navy suit carrying a leather briefcase. The man from the black sedan stepped forward. Mid-50s, gray suit, shark smile. "Mrs. Torres, I'm Dr. Harold Vincent, elder care specialist. Your son has asked me to evaluate your current living situation. I didn't ask for an evaluation. Margaret," Ashley said, her voice syrupy, "we're worried about you. Yesterday at the park, you made very serious accusations. You seemed confused, disoriented. I saw you push Clara into the river." Dr. Vincent wrote something on a clipboard. Kevin looked at his shoes. "Mrs. Torres," the doctor continued, "confusion and paranoia are common symptoms in women your age. Have you been forgetting things? Misplacing items? Feeling anxious without reason? No. Your son tells me you've been having financial difficulties. Late bill payments. Unopened mail. That was a lie. I'd never missed a payment in 40 years. That's not true." Ashley pulled papers from her briefcase. "These are 3 notices from your mortgage company. Final warnings." I grabbed them. They were real. Official letterhead. My address. Threatening foreclosure for non-payment. 3 months overdue. "I paid those," I said. My voice cracked. "I paid them online in April, May, June." Ray stepped into the doorway. "Let me see those." Ashley's smile faltered when she saw my brother. Ray had arrested half the con artists in Riverside County during his 30 years on the force. His reputation preceded him. "Raymond," she said, "this is a family matter." "I'm family." Ray took the notices, examined them under the porch light. "These are fake. Wrong font on the letterhead. Account number doesn't match Margaret's actual mortgage." Dr. Vincent cleared his throat. "Regardless of the mortgage situation, I'm still concerned about Mrs. Torres's mental state. The paranoid accusations, the confusion." "She's not confused," Ray said. "She's being defrauded." Kevin finally spoke. "Uncle Ray, please. We're trying to help Mom. She's getting older. Living alone in this big house. What if she falls? What if she has a medical emergency? I'm 62, not 90. Ashley moved closer, lowered her voice like we were having an intimate conversation instead of a home invasion. "Margaret, honey, we found a beautiful assisted living facility in Corona. It has 24-hour care, activities, meal plans. You'd be so much happier there. I'm not going to a home. It's not a home, it's a community. And think about it. You could sell this house. $480,000. That money could last you 10, 15 years in a nice place." There it was, the house. That's what this was about. Dr. Vincent pulled another document from his briefcase. Mrs. Torres, I'm recommending a full psychiatric evaluation. For your own protection, if you'd like to do this voluntarily, we can schedule it for next week. Otherwise what? Otherwise, your family can petition the court for a mandatory evaluation. Given your age, your living situation, and the concerning behaviors your son has reported, a judge would likely grant it. Ray's hand landed on my shoulder. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. Ashley's mask finally slipped. Her voice went cold. Margaret, you have 72 hours to sign these evaluation consent forms. If you don't, we're filing for a competency hearing. Do you understand what that means? A public hearing where everyone will see how you've been acting, where we'll present evidence of your declining mental state, where a judge will decide if you're capable of managing your own affairs. You can't do that. We can, and we will. She smiled. We're family. We're protecting you whether you like it or not. They left. Dr. Vincent handed me the papers as he walked to his car. Kevin hesitated at the door, opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, then followed his wife. I watched them drive away. 3 cars. 3 witnesses to my supposed incompetence. Ray locked the door behind them. We need a lawyer. Today. I can't afford a lawyer. Yes, you can. You have $40,000 in savings and a house worth $500,000. What you can't afford is waiting. I looked at the papers Dr. Vincent had left. Consent forms for psychiatric evaluation. A questionnaire about my daily activities. A medical history form with pre-checked boxes. Memory loss. Confusion. Paranoid delusions. Difficulty managing finances. All lies. At the bottom of the stack was a notice of intent to file for conservatorship. Kevin Torres and Ashley Torres, petitioners. Margaret Torres, respondent. They're really doing this, I whispered. Yeah, they are. I walked to my bedroom, opened the closet, pushed aside old coats until I found the shoebox in the back. Inside was everything I'd saved from Kevin's childhood. Report cards, drawings, photos. One photo stopped me. Kevin at 5 years old, sitting in my lap at his kindergarten graduation, his arms around my neck, his smile enormous. On the back, in my handwriting, my little man. So proud. I'd worked 70-hour weeks that year to save for his future. I'd sold my wedding ring 2 years earlier to pay for his appendectomy. I'd chosen canned soup for dinner so he could have fresh fruit for lunch. And now he was trying to have me declared insane so he could take my house. I put the photo back in the box and returned to the kitchen where Ray was making calls. I got you an appointment tomorrow morning, he said. Lawyer named Patricia Chen, best estate attorney in the county. She'll file an emergency restraining order against Kevin and Ashley. Stop them from coming near you or your property. What about the hearing? We fight it. But Maggie, you need to understand something. Even if we win in court, this family is done. Kevin made his choice. He chose Ashley and her schemes over you. I already knew that. I'd known it the moment I saw him standing at the grill while Clara drowned. But hearing Ray say it out loud made it real. My phone buzzed. Text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Brenda. Call me. It's about Kevin. Brenda, my younger sister. We hadn't spoken in 6 months. She'd stopped coming to family dinners, stopped returning my calls. I'd assumed she was busy with her accounting firm. Ray, did you know Brenda was involved in this? He looked at the text and his face went dark. Involved how? I pulled out the forged will, pointed to the witness signature line. Brenda Costa. Notarized March 14th, 2024. Ray grabbed his phone, dialed, put it on speaker. Brenda answered on the first ring. Ray? Is Margaret okay? Why'd you sign a fake will, Brenda? Silence. Long enough that I thought she'd hung up. They told me it was just updating paperwork. Ashley said Margaret wanted everything simplified. For $15,000? Another silence. How did you— Bank records. Ashley paid you $15,000 to witness a forged document. That's fraud. You could lose your accounting license. You could go to jail. I heard crying on the other end. My sister. Crying because she'd been caught, not because she was sorry. Brenda, I said. Why? Because you always had everything, Maggie. The house, the career, the kids who loved you. I have a condo and a job I hate. When Ashley offered me money, I thought it was just paperwork. I didn't know they were trying to steal from you." "You knew?" Ray said. "You've known Margaret's signature for 60 years. You knew this was fraud." The crying got louder. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Ray hung up. We sat in silence. The clock ticked. 72 hours until I had to decide. Sign the evaluation forms and give them ammunition, or refuse and face a public hearing where my own family would try to prove I was senile. "Ray," I said, "when you make those calls to the FBI tomorrow about Kevin's money laundering, make sure they know about Brenda too." My brother smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. Already planning on it. Outside, it started to rain. The lawyer's office smelled like lemon polish and desperation. Patricia Chen was 45, sharp-eyed, wearing a gray suit that cost more than my monthly pension. She read through the documents Ray and I had brought, the forged will, the fake mortgage notices, the consent forms, without changing expression. "They're building a case for financial exploitation by declaring you the exploiter," she said finally. "It's clever. Twisted, but clever." "Can you stop the hearing?" I asked. "I can delay it. Maybe get it dismissed if we prove fraud fast enough. But Mrs. Torres, you need to understand something. Even if we win, this will cost you. Legal fees, expert witnesses, psychiatric evaluations to prove you're competent. We're looking at $20,000, maybe $30,000. 3/4 of my savings, gone, just to prove I wasn't crazy." "Do it," I said. Patricia nodded. "I'll file the restraining order today. Kevin and Ashley can't come within 500 feet of you or this office, but the 72-hour deadline still stands. If you don't respond to their petition by Thursday at 5 p.m., they can request an emergency hearing." Thursday, 2 days away. Ray drove me home in silence. When we pulled into my driveway, I saw it immediately. The lock on my front door had been changed. My key didn't work. Ray tried his spare. Nothing. "Stay here," he said, pulling out his phone. He walked around the house, checking windows. They were all locked from inside. Through the living room window, I could see my furniture, my couch, my coffee table, the framed photos on the wall, but I couldn't get inside. Ray came back, his face hard. "They changed the locks while we were at the lawyer's office. This is illegal entry and lockout. I'm calling the police." "No, Maggie, if we call the police, it becomes public record. Ashley will use it as proof I'm unstable, that I've lost control of my own house." "You haven't lost control. Kevin broke in and changed your locks. Can you prove that? Do you have footage? Witnesses?" Ray clenched his jaw. We both knew the answer. "You're staying with me tonight," he said. I looked at my house one more time. 40 years of memories locked behind a door I couldn't open. The kitchen where I'd taught Clara to cook. The bedroom where I'd cried myself to sleep after my husband died. The closet where I'd hidden Kevin's baby shoes because I couldn't bear to throw them away. All of it sealed off from me like I was a stranger. We drove to Ray's house in silence. He lived alone in a small 2-bedroom on Oak Street, 15 minutes from mine. The place smelled like motor oil and coffee. The TV was on mute, playing evening news. Ray cleared papers off the couch so I could sit. "I've got leftover pizza and beer," he said. "That work? I'm not hungry." He brought me water anyway, sat across from me in his recliner, the one with duct tape holding the armrest together. "You want to talk about it?" he asked. "What's there to talk about? My son locked me out of my own house to make me look incompetent. My sister helped him forge my will for $15,000. My daughter-in-law tried to drown Clara and is probably planning worse. You forgot the part where you're a survivor." I laughed. It came out bitter. "Survivor of what? Bad parenting?" "Maggie," Ray leaned forward. "You raised Kevin alone after Tom died. You worked 3 jobs to put him through college. You adopted Clara when her mother, your own daughter, died giving birth. You've survived things most people can't imagine. This is just another fight. I'm tired of fighting. I know. But if you stop now, they win, and Clara loses everything. Clara." The thought of her face when she found out about the forged will, about being erased from my estate like she'd never existed, made my chest hurt. "Ray, why is Kevin doing this? I gave him everything." My brother sighed. That's the problem. You gave him everything. He never had to work for it, never had to sacrifice. So when Ashley came along and showed him a shortcut to more money, he took it. Because in his mind, he deserved it. He used to be a good kid. Kids grow up, sometimes into good people, sometimes into strangers. I spent that night in Ray's guest room, lying awake on sheets that smelled like detergent and dust. Through the window, I could see streetlights casting shadows on the ceiling. The clock on the nightstand glowed. 2:47 a.m., 48 hours until the deadline. I thought about the first time I held Kevin. July 12, 1987. 7 pounds, 8 ounces. Perfect. I'd counted his fingers, his toes, memorized his face, promised him I'd never let anything hurt him. I'd kept that promise for 37 years, and now he was the one hurting me. Around 3 in the morning, I got up and went to Ray's garage. He kept his old police files there, boxes stacked against the walls. I found the one labeled Torres K to 2015 and opened it. Inside were surveillance photos. Kevin meeting with Marcus Lowe outside a real estate office. Bank statements showing transfers from fake buyer accounts. Copies of deeds for houses that didn't exist. And at the bottom, a handwritten note in Ray's writing. Maggie asked me to stop. Can't arrest my own nephew. Case closed, 9/14/15. I'd saved Kevin then. Begged Ray to drop the investigation because I couldn't stand the thought of my son in prison. And this was how he repaid me. I heard footsteps. Ray stood in the garage doorway, wearing a bathrobe and holding coffee. Couldn't sleep either? He asked. I keep thinking about 2015. If I'd let you arrest him then, maybe nothing. You made the choice any mother would make. You protected your kid. Kevin's the one who didn't learn from it. I closed the box. What time are you calling the FBI? 9 a.m. I've got a contact there, Agent Morrison. She specializes in real estate fraud. She'll move fast once she sees this file. And Brenda? I'll give them her bank records too. Ashley's $15,000 payment is traceable. Brenda's going down with them. I should have felt something. Guilt, sadness, but all I felt was empty. We went back inside. Ray made eggs. I pushed them around my plate. At 8:30, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. They're going to force the evaluation tomorrow. I have proof. Meet me at Fairmount Park, Main Pavilion, 6 p.m. Come alone. I showed it to Ray. It's a trap, he said immediately. Or it's someone who knows what they're planning. Who? Kevin's friends? Ashley's family? Everyone in that circle wants you declared incompetent. Then why would they warn me? Ray stared at the message. You're not going. Yes, I am. Maggie. Ray, I've spent 2 days reacting, running, hiding. If there's even a chance someone on the inside wants to help me, I have to take it. Then I'm coming with you. The message says come alone. And if it's Ashley setting you up? If she's got Dr. Vincent there to witness you acting paranoid? Meeting strangers in parks? He had a point. But something about the message felt different. Urgent. Real. I'll take my phone, I said. Keep you on an open line. If anything happens, you'll hear it. Ray didn't like it, but he nodded. The rest of the day crawled. Ray made his calls. I heard him on the phone with Agent Morrison, his voice low and professional, laying out Kevin's 2015 fraud case. I heard him say my name, explain the current situation, promise to send files. Patricia Chen called at noon. Restraining order is filed. Kevin and Ashley have been served. They can't contact you directly anymore. Can they still force the hearing? Yes, that's a separate legal process, but we'll be ready. At 5:30 p.m., I got in my car. Ray followed in his truck, staying 2 cars behind. The drive to Fairmount Park took 12 minutes. The same park where Ashley had pushed Clara into the river. Where my family had pretended to be happy for the last time. I parked near the main pavilion. It was empty except for a woman sitting on a bench, her back to me. Blonde hair, business suit. My heart sank. It was Ashley. I turned to leave, but she called out, "Margaret, wait, please." I stopped, turned. She was alone, hands folded in her lap. No phone, no recording device visible. "You came," she said. "You're violating a restraining order. I know. I needed to talk to you before it's too late. I stayed by my car, 10 feet away." "Before what?" Ashley's perfect mask cracked. Her eyes were red. Her hands shook. Kevin doesn't know I'm here. Neither does Dr. Vincent. I need you to understand something. This wasn't supposed to go this far. You tried to kill Clara. No, I tried to destroy the backpack, the documents. I thought if they got wet enough, ruined enough, you wouldn't be able to prove the will was fake. I didn't mean for her to almost drown. That's not better, Ashley. She stood up, took a step toward me. Tomorrow morning, Dr. Vincent is filing an emergency psychiatric hold. He's going to claim you're a danger to yourself. They'll take you to County General for 72 hours of observation. During that time, Kevin will petition for emergency conservatorship. By the time you get out, he'll control everything. My blood went cold. How do you know this? Because I helped plan it. But Margaret, I can't do this anymore. Kevin's talking about selling your house before you even get out of the hospital. He wants to take the money and disappear. Leave me with nothing. There it was. She wasn't confessing out of guilt. She was confessing because Kevin had betrayed her too. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Ashley pulled an envelope from her purse. This is every email between me and Marcus Lowe. Every bank transfer. Every forged document. Everything you need to prove fraud. Take it to your lawyer. Destroy Kevin before he destroys both of us. She held it out. I didn't move. If you're trying to set me up, I'm trying to save myself. Kevin promised me half of everything. Now he's planning to divorce me once the money's secured. I'm not going down alone. I took the envelope. Inside were printouts, dozens of pages, emails, bank transfers, text messages. Why didn't you just turn this over to the police? I asked. Because I'm on those emails too. I'm guilty too. But if you use them in civil court, in the conservatorship hearing, you can stop Kevin without me going to prison. I disappear. You keep your house. Everyone wins. Except Kevin. Kevin made his choice. Her voice went flat, cold. He used both of us. Now he pays. She walked toward the parking lot without looking back. I stood there holding the envelope, watching her drive away in her white Mercedes. My phone rang. Ray, did you get it? He asked. You sent her? I've been watching Kevin's accounts. Saw transfers to a hotel in Ashley's name. Separate credit card. She was planning to run. I called her this morning, told her she could save herself or go down with Kevin. She chose herself. So this is real? The emails? Patricia Chen's reviewing them now. If they're legitimate, we've got everything we need. I looked at the envelope. At the sunset over the river where Clara had almost drowned. At the pavilion where my family had eaten its last meal together. Ray, I said, tomorrow morning when they come for me, I want you to let them take me. What? No, Maggie, I want them to think they've won, just for a few hours. And then I want you to destroy them. My brother was silent for a long moment. Then he laughed, dark, satisfied. Now you're thinking like a Torres. I drove home to Ray's house. The deadline was 18 hours away, but I wasn't running anymore. They came for me at 7:15 a.m. Dr. Vincent arrived in an unmarked white van with 2 paramedics I didn't recognize. Kevin stood behind them on Ray's front lawn, hands in his pockets, looking at the ground. Ray opened the door before they could knock. Margaret Torres? Dr. Vincent asked, holding up papers. I have an emergency psychiatric hold order signed by Judge Morrison. You're being transported to County General for evaluation. On what grounds? Ray asked. Danger to self. Mrs. Torres has been exhibiting erratic behavior, paranoid delusions, and yesterday was witnessed meeting unknown individuals in public parks, suggesting disorganized thinking. Ashley had set me up after all. The meeting, the envelope, all of it recorded somehow. I'm coming with her, Ray said. Family only. Ray looked at Kevin. My son finally met my eyes. Uncle Ray, it's better if you stay here. Mom needs professional help. We're doing this for her own good. I'd prepared for this moment. I'd rehearsed it with Ray last night. But seeing Kevin's face, the fake concern, the rehearsed words, still made my hands shake. It's okay, I said quietly. I'll go. Ray's jaw tightened, but he stepped back. We'd planned this. Let them think they'd won. Let them get comfortable. The paramedics helped me into the van. Not roughly, but firmly, like I was fragile, broken, Dr. Vincent sat across from me, clipboard in hand. Mrs. Torres, do you know what day it is? Thursday, July 21st. Do you know where you are? In a van. Being kidnapped legally. He wrote something down, probably hostile or uncooperative. Do you understand why you're being evaluated? Because my son wants my house. More writing. The drive to County General took 20 minutes. They brought me through a side entrance, avoiding the main ER. Took me to a beige room with no windows, a bed with restraints I hoped they wouldn't use, and a camera in the corner. A nurse came in, older woman, kind eyes, and took my vitals. Blood pressure slightly elevated, heart rate fast, temperature normal. Are you feeling anxious, Margaret? She asked. Wouldn't you be? She smiled sadly. The doctor will be here soon. Try to rest. She left. The door locked behind her with a soft click. I sat on the bed and waited. Ray was already moving. At 7:45 a.m., he called Agent Morrison. They just took my sister. Emergency psychiatric hold. Fake diagnosis. You need to move now. At 8 a.m., FBI agents knocked on Kevin's door at 892 Willow Lane. Search warrant for documents related to real estate fraud, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit financial exploitation. Kevin answered in his bathrobe. Behind him, Ashley was on the phone, probably calling Marcus Lowe. Agent Morrison showed her badge. Kevin Torres, we have a warrant to search these premises. Step aside, please. At 8:15 a.m., Ray arrived at my house, my real house on Maple Drive, with a locksmith and a police escort. Patricia Chen had filed an emergency motion that morning. Illegal lockout, elder abuse, unlawful entry. The locksmith drilled out Kevin's new locks in 4 minutes. Ray walked through my house taking photos. Nothing had been stolen, but everything had been searched. Drawers opened, papers scattered. My bedroom closet was empty. All my clothes gone. He found them in the garage, packed in garbage bags, ready to be thrown away. At 8:30 a.m., the Agent Morrison called Ray. We found everything: forged deeds, bank statements showing the $87,000 from 2015, emails between Kevin and Marcus Lowe discussing new fraud schemes from as recently as last week. We're freezing all accounts pending investigation. How long until charges? 48 hours, maybe less. Ray smiled. And Ashley? She's implicated in the forgeries. We found her handwriting on multiple documents. She's not walking away from this. At 9 a.m., Kevin's bank accounts locked, all of them. Checking, savings, credit cards. Everything frozen with a notice, under federal investigation. Kevin tried to withdraw cash at an ATM. Declined. He tried to use his credit card for gas. Declined. He called his bank. They told him to contact the FBI. At 9:30 a.m., Ashley's Mercedes was repossessed. She'd been 3 months behind on payments, and without access to Kevin's accounts, she had no way to pay. The tow truck driver found her at a Starbucks drive-thru, coffee in hand, phone pressed to her ear. She screamed. People filmed it. By noon, it was on Reddit. Influencer's car repossessed in real time. At 10 a.m., Patricia Chen filed a motion to dismiss the psychiatric hold. Judge Morrison, a different Morrison, no relation to the FBI agent, reviewed the evidence. The forged documents, Ashley's envelope with full confession, Kevin's frozen bank accounts, the FBI search warrant. The hold was lifted at 10:45 a.m. A nurse unlocked my door. Mrs. Torres, you're free to go. There was an administrative error. I stood up slowly. What kind of error? I'm not at liberty to say, but your brother is here to pick you up. Ray was waiting in the lobby, holding a bag with my clothes, the ones Kevin had packed in garbage bags. How do I look? I asked. Like someone who just won round one. We drove back to Ray's house. On the way, his phone rang constantly. Patricia Chen with updates. Agent Morrison with arrest timelines. The locksmith confirming my house was secure. At 11:30 a.m., Kevin called me. I let it ring once, twice, 3 times. Ray glanced at me. You going to answer? Not yet. Kevin called again. This time he left a voicemail. I played it on speaker. Mom, please pick up. Something's happening. The FBI came to the house. They took my computer. They froze my accounts. I can't, Mom. I need help. I need a lawyer. I need money for bail. They're saying I might be arrested. Please. I'm your son. You have to help me." His voice cracked on the last word. Ray pulled into his driveway and shut off the engine. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking about 1993, when I sold my wedding ring to pay for his appendectomy, when he was 10 years old and terrified, and I promised him I'd always keep him safe. And he's not 10 anymore." I deleted the voicemail. At 2:00 p.m., Kevin called from a different number. I blocked it. At 2:30 p.m., Ashley called. I blocked her too. At 3:00 p.m., Marcus Lowe, the lawyer who'd notarized my fake will, was arrested at his office. Fraud, conspiracy, forgery. His bail was set at $100,000. At 4:00 p.m., Dr. Vincent's medical license was suspended pending investigation. Turns out he wasn't board certified. His credentials were fake. He'd been working with Kevin and Ashley for 18 months, helping them target elderly parents for conservatorship fraud. 4 other families had already filed complaints. At 5:00 p.m., Kevin appeared at Ray's door. I watched through the window. He looked destroyed, unshaven, red-eyed, wearing the same clothes from that morning. Ray didn't let him in. "I need to talk to my mother," Kevin said. "She doesn't want to talk to you. Please, Uncle Ray, please. Everything's falling apart. Ashley's gone. The FBI took everything. I don't have money for a lawyer. I'm going to lose the house. I'm going to lose everything. You should have thought of that before you tried to steal your mother's house." "I wasn't trying to steal it. I was trying to protect it. To protect her. Ashley told me Mom was getting confused, that she needed help, that—" "Don't." Ray's voice went cold. "Don't blame Ashley for choices you made. You changed the locks on your mother's house. You emptied her bank account. You brought a fake doctor to declare her incompetent. Those were your choices." Kevin's shoulders shook. He was crying. "Can I at least see her? Can I apologize?" "No. She's my mother." "Then you should have treated her like one." Ray closed the door, locked it, stood there for a minute with his hand on the knob, breathing hard. I walked to the window and watched Kevin sit on the curb. He pulled out his phone, tried to make a call, put it down, tried again. After 10 minutes, he stood up and walked to his car, the leased BMW he could no longer afford. He sat in the driver's seat for another 5 minutes. Then he drove away. "You okay?" Ray asked. I realized I was crying, not from sadness, from something else. Relief, maybe, or grief for the son I'd thought I had. "I will be," I said. That night, Ray and I sat on his porch drinking beer, something I hadn't done in 20 years. The air smelled like jasmine and distant rain. "What happens tomorrow?" I asked. "Tomorrow, Patricia Chen files for full dismissal of the conservatorship petition. FBI continues their investigation. Kevin and Ashley figure out how to survive without your money. And Brenda? FBI's bringing her in for questioning Monday. Her accounting firm already suspended her. She's going to lose her license." I should have felt guilty. These were people I'd loved. Family. But all I felt was tired. "Ray, did I do the right thing?" My brother looked at me for a long moment. "Maggie, they tried to bury you. You just refused to stay dead. That's not wrong. That's survival." My phone buzzed. Unknown number again. Text. "I know you won't forgive me, but I need you to know I'm sorry. I was weak. I let Ashley convince me you were the problem. I was wrong. I'm so sorry, Mom. Kevin." Texting from someone else's phone. Ray read it over my shoulder. "You going to respond?" I thought about it. Typed. "Sorry doesn't give me back the trust you broke." Deleted it. Typed. "I loved you more than my own life. That wasn't enough for you." Deleted it. Finally typed. "You chose this when you laughed while Clara drowned." Sent it. Turned off my phone. "Round 2 tomorrow?" Ray asked. "Round 2 tomorrow." We finished our beers in silence. Somewhere in Riverside, Kevin was learning what it felt like to lose everything. Somewhere else, Ashley was realizing her lies had caught up to her. And here, on Ray's porch, I was beginning to remember what it felt like to breathe. The conservatorship hearing was supposed to happen on Monday. It was canceled Saturday morning. Patricia Chen called at 8 a.m. Judge reviewed the evidence. FBI involvement, forged documents, Dr. Vincent's fake credentials, case dismissed with prejudice. They can't try this again. What about Kevin and Ashley? Kevin's looking at 2 to 5 years if convicted on all counts. Ashley's charges are lighter: conspiracy, fraud. She might get 18 months. Marcus Lowe is trying to cut a deal by testifying against both of them. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt hollow. Ray made coffee. We sat in his kitchen not talking, just existing in the space where our family used to be. At 10 a.m. someone knocked. Through the window I saw Brenda, alone, wearing a gray cardigan I'd given her for Christmas 3 years ago. Ray opened the door. "You're not supposed to be here." "I know. FBI questioned me yesterday. I told them everything. I'm losing my license. My firm fired me. I need to talk to Maggie, please." Ray looked at me. I nodded. Brenda sat across from me at the kitchen table. She'd aged 10 years in a week. Gray roots showing, no makeup, hands trembling. "I'm sorry," she started. "You said that on the phone. I mean it this time. Maggie, I was jealous. For 40 years I was jealous. You had the house, the career, the kids who loved you. I had a condo and a job I hated and no one who cared if I came home. So you helped them steal from me." Ashley made it sound simple. She said you were going to leave everything to Clara anyway, that Kevin deserved half. She said the new will just made it official. I didn't know about the psychiatric hold. I didn't know about Dr. Vincent, but you knew the signature was fake. Brenda's silence was answer enough. "You knew my signature for 60 years, I continued. "You knew this was fraud, and you did it anyway for $15,000. I needed the money. My mortgage, my car, credit cards. Everyone needs money, Brenda. Not everyone commits crimes for it." She started crying. Real tears this time, not the performative kind from our phone call. "I destroyed everything. My career, my family, my sister. For money I've already spent." Ray handed her a tissue without sympathy. "What do you want from me?" I asked. "I want you to tell the FBI I was coerced, that Ashley threatened me, that I didn't understand what I was signing." "Were you coerced?" "No." "Then I'm not lying for you." Brenda's tears stopped. She looked at me with something like hatred. "You always did think you were better than me. Saint Maggie who worked 3 jobs. Martyr Maggie who adopted a baby. Perfect Maggie who—" "Get out," Ray said quietly. Brenda stood up, knocking her chair backward. "You're going to let your own sister go to prison?" "You tried to send me to an asylum," I said. "We're not sisters anymore." She left without another word. Ray locked the door behind her. "You okay? Ask me tomorrow." At noon, Clara arrived. She'd been staying with a friend since the picnic, afraid to come back while everything was chaos. She hugged me so tight I couldn't breathe. "Mom, I heard what they tried to do. I'm so sorry. If I hadn't brought that backpack to the park, then we wouldn't have found the evidence. Clara, you saved me by almost drowning." She laughed through tears. "That's the worst superhero origin story ever." We sat on Ray's porch drinking iced tea. Normal, almost peaceful. "What happens to Kevin?" she asked. "Prison, probably, if he's convicted." "Do you think he will be?" "The evidence is overwhelming. Ray's 2015 file, the forged will, the bank records. Marcus Lowe is testifying against him. Ashley might too if she gets a deal." Clara picked at the label on her bottle. "I know he tried to hurt us, but he's still my brother, sort of. Does that make me weak?" "No, it makes you human. Do you still love him?" The question sat between us like a stone. Did I? Could you love someone who'd tried to destroy you? "I love who he used to be," I said finally, "but that person doesn't exist anymore." At 3 p.m., Kevin showed up. No car this time. It had been repossessed that morning. He'd walked 4 miles from his house to Ray's, sweating, limping, desperate. Ray met him at the end of the driveway. "You need to leave. I need to talk to my mother. Please, just 5 minutes." I stood up. Clara grabbed my arm. "Mom, don't. I have to." I walked down the driveway, stopped 10 feet from Kevin, close enough to see his face, far enough to run if needed. "You have 3 minutes," I said. Kevin's voice cracked immediately. "Mom, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, I know what I did was unforgivable, but I need you to understand. It wasn't me. It was Ashley. She manipulated me for years. She convinced me you were getting senile, that we needed to protect the estate, Stop. Mom, you were 37 years old, Kevin. Not 17. Not 7. You knew exactly what you were doing when you changed my locks. When you emptied our joint account. When you stood there watching Clara drown. I was going to help her. I froze. I didn't know what Ashley had planned. You laughed. I heard you. You laughed while your sister was drowning. Kevin's face crumpled. I was scared. Ashley gets angry when I don't go along with her plans. She threatened to leave me. To take everything. I was trapped. So you trapped me instead. I'm sorry. God, Mom. I'm so sorry. I'll do anything. I'll testify against Ashley. I'll pay back every dollar I took. I'll spend the rest of my life making this right. Just, please don't abandon me. You're all I have left. Ray moved closer. Protective. Clara stood on the porch watching. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. The boy I'd raised was gone. In his place was a stranger who'd learned to weaponize guilt. You want me to save you, I said. Like I always have. Like I did in 1993 when I sold my wedding ring for your surgery. Like I did in 2015 when I stopped Ray from arresting you. Like I've done your entire life. Yes, please. Kevin, do you remember what you said to me when the FBI came? When you called begging for money? He shook his head. You said, you have to help me. I'm your son. Like being your son was a debt I owed. Like 37 years of my sacrifice meant you deserved one more rescue. That's not what I meant. Here's the truth you need to hear. Being my son doesn't mean I have to save you from yourself. It means I gave you every tool to be a good man. And you chose to be this instead. Kevin dropped to his knees. Literally. Hands clasped like prayer. Mom, I'm begging you. I'll go to prison. I know that. But please, please don't hate me. Don't cut me off completely. I can change. I swear I can change. I thought about the photo I'd found in my closet. 5-year-old Kevin in my lap, arms around my neck. My little man. So proud. That boy had died somewhere along the way. Maybe when he met Ashley. Maybe earlier. Maybe the moment I'd made sacrifice looked too easy. I don't hate you, I said, but I can't save you anymore. What does that mean? It means I'm not paying for your lawyer. I'm not testifying on your behalf. I'm not writing a letter to the judge about what a good boy you used to be. You made these choices. You live with them. Kevin's face went white. You're really going to let me go to prison? I'm going to let you face the consequences of your actions. For the first time in your life. But the FBI said if I had family support, character witnesses, they might reduce the charges. Without that, I'm looking at 5 years minimum. Then you'll have 5 years to think about what you did. Kevin stood up slowly. The begging was over. Now came something else. Anger. You're a cold woman, he said. I always knew that. Even when you were playing martyr, working 3 jobs, crying about how hard everything was, you were cold. Dad probably died just to get away from you. The words should have hurt. Maybe a week ago, they would have. You're done, Ray said, stepping between us. Leave. Now. Kevin looked past him at me. I hope you're happy, Mom. You got what you wanted. Me destroyed. The family destroyed. Everyone knowing you're the victim. Must feel good. It doesn't, I said quietly. But it feels better than being your ATM. Kevin turned and walked away. No car to drive off in. No dramatic exit. Just a man walking down a suburban street, getting smaller and smaller until he turned the corner and disappeared. Clara came down the porch steps and hugged me. You did the right thing. Then why does it hurt so much? Because you're not cold, no matter what he said. That night, Patricia Chen called with news. Ashley had taken a plea deal. 18 months in minimum security in exchange for full testimony against Kevin and Marcus Lowe. She'd be out in 12 months with good behavior. She's also agreed to vacate the house at Willow Lane. Patricia added, You're not financially responsible for any of Kevin's debts or legal fees. Everything's sealed from your estate. What about Kevin? Trial's set for October. If convicted on all counts, he's looking at 3 to 5 years. Could be reduced to 2 with good behavior. After I hung up, I sat in Ray's living room staring at nothing. Maggie? Ray's voice was gentle. Talk to me. I keep thinking about 1987, the day Kevin was born. I promised him I'd always protect him. I broke that promise today. No, you kept it. You protected him from the one thing that was really destroying him. What's that? You, your money, your forgiveness, your inability to let him fail. Today, you finally let him go. I cried then. For the first time since this started, I cried for Kevin, not the man he'd become, but the boy he'd been. The one I couldn't save. The one I had to let fall so maybe, someday, he could learn to stand on his own. Outside, rain started falling. Inside, something old and heavy finally broke loose. 2 years later. September 2026. I was back in my house at 3247 Maple Drive. Ray had helped me move back in after the legal dust settled. Clara came over twice a week for dinner. The roses in the front yard, the ones planted by my biological daughter before she died, had bloomed for the first time in 5 years. Kevin served 23 months, released early for good behavior. I knew because Patricia Chen kept me updated, not because he'd contacted me. Ashley served 12 months, got out, tried to launch an online course called Resilience After Rock Bottom: My Journey. She posted it on Instagram with a video of herself crying in athleisure wear. 3 people bought it. 2 requested refunds. The comments were brutal. Didn't you try to steal from your MIL? Prison glow-up or filter? Ma'am, this is embarrassing. Last I heard, she'd moved to Arizona and changed her name. Brenda lost her accounting license permanently, moved to North Carolina to live with her ex-husband's sister. We hadn't spoken since that day at Ray's house. I'd received 1 letter from her, 6 pages of justifications and accusations. I'd burned it without reading past the first paragraph. Marcus Lowe got 3 years, served 18 months, disbarred. Last I saw, he was working at a car wash in San Bernardino. Dr. Vincent disappeared. Rumor was he fled to Mexico. The 4 other families he'd defrauded won a civil suit, but there was no money to collect. He'd spent it all. Me? I was learning to breathe again. I'd started volunteering at the senior center, teaching other women how to recognize financial abuse. 15 women in my first class. All of them had stories like mine: sons who stole, daughters-in-law who manipulated, family members who saw inheritance as entitlement. You're doing good work, Ray told me over Sunday dinner. He'd become a permanent fixture at my table. Some Sundays, Clara brought her new boyfriend, a paramedic she'd met at work. Kind man. Asked questions. Didn't check his phone during dinner. It feels good, I admitted, helping people who thought they were alone. You were never alone, Clara said. You just forgot for a while. In August, I'd rewritten my will. Clara received 60% of everything. The remaining 40% went to a foundation I'd started, the Torres Fund for Elder Protection. Ray managed it. Already, we'd helped 12 families escape conservatorship fraud. Kevin's name appeared nowhere in the document. On September 14th, Kevin called. First time in 2 years. I stared at his name on my phone for 5 rings before answering. Mom. His voice was different, quieter, older. I know I don't have the right to call, but I wanted you to know I'm out. I'm staying at a halfway house in Corona. I've been in therapy, court mandated, but I'm continuing it voluntarily. I got a job at a furniture warehouse, minimum wage, but it's honest work. I didn't say anything. I'm not calling to ask for anything, he continued. I wanted you to know I understand now. What I did, what I took from you. Not just the money, the trust, the safety, everything. Okay. I know you probably don't believe me. I wouldn't either. But I'm different now, Mom. Prison changes you. Therapy changes you. Losing everything changes you. Kevin? I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. But if you'd ever be willing to see me, to let me show you I've changed, I'd really like that. Even just coffee. One time. Just to say sorry to your face. I closed my eyes. Saw him at 5 years old, arms around my neck. Saw him at 37, laughing while Clara drowned. Saw him at the trial, crying while the verdict was read. I need time, I said. I understand. Take all the time you need. I'll wait. He hung up. I sat there holding the phone, shaking. Clara knocked on my door that evening. Ray told me Kevin called. You okay? I don't know. Do you believe him? That he's changed? I want to. But wanting something doesn't make it true. Clara sat beside me on the couch. What does your gut say? My gut said Kevin had always been good at performing, at saying what people wanted to hear, at playing the victim when it suited him. But my gut also said people could change. Prison, therapy, consequences. Maybe they'd worked. Maybe he'd finally hit bottom hard enough to bounce back different. I don't trust him, I said. But I don't hate him either. Is that enough? For now? Yeah. 3 weeks later, Kevin showed up at my house. No warning. Just knocked on the door Saturday morning while I was making coffee. Through the window, I saw him standing on my porch holding a small potted plant. Red roses. Ray was with me. He'd stayed over after helping fix my leaking sink. He looked at Kevin, looked at me. Want me to send him away? No, I'll handle it. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. Kevin looked terrible in the best way. Thinner. No expensive clothes. Work boots, jeans, a t-shirt with the furniture warehouse logo. The roses trembled in his hands. I know I should have called first, he said, but I was afraid you'd say no. Clara told me you replanted the roses out front. The ones from before. I thought you might want another bush for the side yard. I grew this one myself, from a cutting. My therapist says gardening is meditative. I took the pot. The roots looked healthy. He'd clearly cared for it. Thank you. Clara's here, isn't she? Her car's in the driveway. I was hoping, if it's okay, I could maybe say hi. I haven't seen her since before everything. I owe her an apology, too. Clara appeared behind me. It's okay, Mom. Let him in. Against every instinct, I stepped aside. Kevin entered the house he'd tried to steal, looked around like he was visiting a museum. You kept the furniture. I thought you'd replace everything. Why would I? This is my home. He nodded, swallowed hard. It looks good. Feels like I remember. Clara gestured to the kitchen. We were about to plant those new roses. Want to help? I started to object, but Clara gave me a look. Trust me. We went to the backyard. Ray watched from the porch, arms crossed, ready to intervene if needed. Kevin dug the hole. Clara held the plant. I added fertilizer. We worked in silence. When it was planted, watered, and mulched, Kevin sat back on his heels. Mom, I know you don't want to hear this, but I need to say it anyway. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything I did, for what I tried to do, for the person I became. You deserved better. You deserved a son who honored your sacrifice instead of trying to profit from it. Okay, I'm in therapy twice a week. I'm working on why I let Ashley manipulate me, why I thought money was more important than family, why I became someone who could watch his sister drown and laugh. You did laugh, I said quietly. I didn't imagine that. No, you didn't. I laughed because I was terrified and I didn't know what else to do. But that's not an excuse. Nothing excuses what I did. Clara wiped dirt from her hands. Kevin, I forgive you. I don't trust you yet. But I forgive you. He started crying. Not the performative tears from the trial. Real ones. Ugly ones. I don't deserve that, he whispered. No, you don't. But I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. So, I can move on. Kevin looked at me. What about you, Mom? Can you ever forgive me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know, I said honestly. Right now, all I can give you is this. One afternoon planting roses. No promises, no trust, just this. That's more than I deserve. Yes, it is. We went inside. I made coffee. We sat at the kitchen table. The same table where this nightmare had started 2 years ago with forged documents in a wet backpack. Kevin told us about prison, the therapy, the job, the halfway house, the men he'd met who'd made the same mistakes, the ones who'd changed, the ones who hadn't. There was a guy there, Kevin said, 60 years old, third offense fraud. He spent the whole time planning his next con, kept saying his family owed him for raising them, that his kids should support him in his old age. I heard him talk and realized that was me. That's who I was becoming. And now? Clara asked. Now I'm just trying to be someone you wouldn't be ashamed to know. Maybe one day, someone you'd be proud to call son again. He left after an hour, hugged Clara. Didn't try to hug me. Just shook my hand formally, like a stranger. Thank you for today, he said. It means everything. I watched him walk to the bus stop. No car, no Ashley, no fake life. Just a man trying to find his way back from the worst thing he'd ever done. Ray came up beside me. You did good. Did I? You gave him a chance without giving him trust. That's healthy. What if he's just performing again? What if this is another manipulation? Then you'll see it, and you'll close the door. But Maggie, you can't live in fear of being fooled again. That's just another kind of prison. That night, I sat on my porch drinking tea. The new rose bush swayed in the breeze. The old ones bloomed bright. The house was quiet but not empty. Clara was staying over, watching a movie in the living room. My phone buzzed. Text from Kevin. Thank you for today. I know I have years of work ahead, but I'm willing to do it. No expectations, just gratitude. Good night, Mom. I didn't respond. Not yet. Instead, I opened my photo album, found the picture from 1992. 5-year-old Kevin in my lap, arms around my neck. My little man. So proud. That boy still existed somewhere, buried under years of bad choices and worse influences. Maybe prison had excavated him. Maybe therapy was putting him back together. Or maybe I was just a mother who'd always see her child's potential instead of his reality. Either way, I'd done what I set out to do. I'd protected myself, reclaimed my dignity, helped other women do the same, rebuilt a life that was mine on my terms. If Kevin earned his way back into it, that would be his victory, not mine. And if he didn't, I'd already proven I could survive without him. I watered the new roses before bed, touched the petals gently. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, I whispered to no one. It's the line you draw between the before and the maybe. Inside, Clara called my name. Movie was starting. I went in, locked the door, sat beside my daughter, my real daughter, the one who'd never betrayed me, and let myself feel something I hadn't felt in years. Safe. What would you have done in Margaret's place? Would you have given Kevin a second chance or closed the door forever? Share your story with us. We read every comment.